You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG, episode 103. I was going to say 133. That's a bit of a skip there. We got a lot of stuff, some cool stuff to talk about from the PTR changes. We're hoping to get this patch soon. The winter conversion ends. We're going to talk about that as well. Real quick, guys, if you are just stumbling upon the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating review. We really appreciate that. Also, if you're watching the YouTube channel, hit the subscription button, the notification bell, leave a comment. All those nice things that helps the YouTube algorithm, the robot that controls us all on YouTube, be happy. We want them to be happy, right, Bordy? We need the robots now at this point. For first, we need them for YouTube, and then eventually, I think someday we'll need them for food. I think there's a in there like some sort of.
I like that transition, man. YouTube algorithm to survival. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a TV. I know it's a TV show or a documentary.
Terminator?
No, it is. Well, the Terminator, yes, but also like there is one that says like eventually, this robots will be preparing your food every day.
I mean, I'm down. Hey, let's do it.
I can't think of the name of the show now. It's kind of irritating. I just know the creator of the show was on Hot Ones, and so then that's how I heard about the show. But I've never watched the show. I don't even know what it was called. That was stupid. I shouldn't have mentioned it. Well, let's
Jetsons?
No, dude, it's not the Jetsons. What the heck? You think the Jetsons were on Hot Ones eating hot wings? What the?
Maybe
they're cartoon characters.
I mean, you never know. Maybe is it George? Is that his name? Maybe he was on there.
Let's just go to the news, okay? Never mind. This is carried over from it's carried over from episode 102. Okay, so first and foremost, Bordy, the winter convergence is over tomorrow. If you're listening to this on the 24th, it ends tomorrow. But if you're kind of listening to this, later than the day that it's get posted, you might have already missed it. If you haven't already, go spend your tokens, guys. Buy whatever you can afford, because those tokens will be gone. They do not roll over. They do not save. I just saved up enough for the final. I wanted the emotes. I got the bunny, the outfit, and the emote. That's what I was really dedicated into buying. I also bought some luck weapons, but I spent all my tokens today, and you need to do that too, because otherwise it's not like next time winter convergence rolls around, I'll get to spend them because they won't be there. They're going to go away from your inventory tomorrow. So make sure that you're spending your tokens. That's just a nice little housekeeping thing for all of our listeners. But Bordy, while we're on the topic, dude, now that the event is kind of coming to an end, what is your opinion, dude? The first holiday event in New World's history. What do you think of winter convergence?
I think overall it was pretty good, man. By the way, they did tweet just a little bit ago, actually, that today is the last day of the Winter Convergence Festival. So be sure to claim the free items in the in-game store by 11:59 p.m. PT tonight. So tonight it's over. So tomorrow we may be getting a patch. Who knows, man? I don't know. Maybe it's right around the corner. But anyway, that is the 24th. So today is the 24th. If you're listening to this today, go claim your stuff. Yes. Yeah. As far as the event goes, Red, I liked it quite a lot. I thought it was good. I think the extension of it made it maybe not quite as special, but it did give people a chance to go grind out those presents and get their tokens. I think I got everything that I wanted. I missed a few pieces of furniture from the winter store I wasn't too terribly concerned about, but I did get like the ones that I really wanted. I got all the big ticket items like the rabbit, the emote, and the little outfit or the skin. So I was happy with it. I thought the rewards were pretty cool. I did end up buying a couple of luck weapons as well, just to have those just because but
luck doesn't work.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Everybody, luck is a fallacy, so that's a big,
who knows? I just bought it just in case, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I use it.
Overall, I thought it was pretty good. I think there are some things they could improve on in the future for these types of events. I feel like these events should be fun and rewarding and not so much of a grind. Like, it took way too long to gather up enough presents needed to buy the stuff out of the event. I mean, I can only imagine if it would have ended on time when it was supposed to end, like on the 11th or something, it would have been really, really hard for the vast majority of the player base to get what they wanted out of the store. And maybe that's by design, maybe that's intended. Maybe they intend to bring this kind of same event back with some of the same rewards next year. I don't know, but on these events, I really like to be able to log in and feel like I can get everything I want out of the event without having to just spend my entire playtime going around gathering presents, right? The first day, that was cool. Maybe the second day, that's cool. And then after that, it's like, you don't get enough from the presents. So that'd be like my only critique, I think, from the event, is just make it a little easier for us to get the items, because they're reward items. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it should be a fun like thing for players to want to get in and do. But other than that, I liked it a lot. I thought it was cool. I liked the decorations and enjoyed the event quite a lot.
Yeah, I will say I did like the idea of behind, like, things that are in the cash shop. I like that they included the same tier of item in the event. So
yeah,
what I mean. The skin, which was dope. It's a really cool looking skin if you haven't gotten it already.
Yeah, I wore it for a long time.
Yeah. The rabbit, obviously a cool little housing or furniture thing in your house, and then the emote's really good too. Obviously, it's a nice little trolley emote, but I just got it today. It's pretty hilarious. And then all the furniture and stuff. Wasn't a fan of the furniture, but I do like that it was in the game. Something that you can get and show off in your housing, and it was free. Just play the game, and that is, I think, one of the best things to kind of see them do in these holiday events is provide a lot of in-game items and items that would be in the cash shop for free during that holiday event. Very good. I hope they continue with these. Obviously, I think the next one, if we get one, is Chinese New Year, which if Twitch chat's correct, which is I mean, you're about 50-50 there. It's February 1st. So I need to look it up myself. But the thing is it's I'm glad that they're doing the holiday events, and I think this one was a good one, man. I will never I'll never be dissatisfied with that first experience I had of a Gleamite shower. I thought that was sick, bro. The Gleamite shower, like, kind of raining through the forest and knocking down all the trees when I'm there, and like I got killed by one time. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so overall,
yeah.
Overall good, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so for sure too. I think there is a world in which they can overdo holiday events though, so I kind of hope one doesn't come in. No disrespect to the Chinese New Year there. I think, but at the same time, like, there is a world in which you can overdo these events, right? You have mutations coming in. I would rather not see another event come in with mutations, something else for people to like. It just gets a little overwhelming. It'd be nice to see them spread out a little bit further than that. So we'll see the pacing and what they decide to implement with these events. But anyway, I don't know. I don't think we'll see another event for a few months, actually, but we'll see.
Yeah. Overall, I think, what do you think is a good idea, or what do you think is a good number for the number of holiday events they do each year?
I don't know. It's tough because this was kind of an American holiday, and they don't really. It kind of sucks to get left behind in other countries and not celebrate those holidays within the World of Eternum as well. But I don't know when the other holidays are for the other countries, so I don't know how closely they align with U.S. holidays or whatever. I'm not up on all that stuff, so I have no idea. But I would say like once every 3 months, probably like 4 times a year, maybe have some kind of event. Right. I think that would be pretty good. Beyond that, I think it does become a little bit much because you get to be there's like a fine line between wanting to log in for enjoyment and then the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out on all this stuff that's in the game, and you feel like you have to log in. It becomes like this chore to log in. You don't want to cross over into the chore territory. You want to stay in the fun category, right? In the I want to log in because this activity is fun. I don't want to log in because now I have another event to grind out because I'm scared I'm going to miss out on these items because I'm never going to get them again. Like, that's just not a good feeling. So
yeah,
I think there's a fine line.
What if they, there were maybe like 6 events the rewards were, maybe just a little less grindy, because I think that was like the only complaint about this activity, is that it did take a long time to grind out all the rewards, and there were a butt ton of rewards, and maybe they will have similar rewards next Winter Festival, so it won't feel like if I don't get them this year, I'll never have them again. But I guess that kind of depends on how they approach that too.
Yeah, that might work. It just depends on the length of the event and how grindy it is and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I think positively overall, it was a great event. Hopefully we'll see more soon. The next thing that came up this week is that they, and this was probably like right after our video launch for the last podcast, is 590 items will now be upgradable to 625. Now, there are some stipulations to this, according to the devs in the forums and on Reddit. I think it's all over the place now. There was a post on the database as well. Now you can actually upgrade named items to 590 all the way to 625, and once they hit the 600 mark, Bordy, that you will even get the legendary version of that named item. So again, I think overall positive changes. We're going to break them down here for you guys as well. So first and foremost, dude, what do you just think? What are your thoughts on now items don't have to be 600. They don't have to roll legendary. You can increase something from all the way back to 590 to the max gear score.
Yeah, so I think it's a really, really good change. I think it was a smart change on their part, because a lot of people, one of the biggest complaints was like, well, I just spent 50K on this great axe. Not me, but I mean, just in general, this is just an example. Like, I just spent 50K on a great axe that's purple and it's 595 gear score. It has 2 really, really good perks on there, and it's a really, really good great axe. It's just missing 1 perk. But now I'm never going to be able to use it again, because now I'm not going to be able to pop it up to 625 to make it as strong as these other items. And so it's a complete waste of money. Well, now you don't have that thought process, right? Now you can just upgrade it with Umbral Shards. You can be happy with the item until you get something better. And that item can last you a long time. So I do think it was a good change for sure. It also makes like the 590 items a little bit more valuable now as well, because let's face it, man, if you go out on all these elite runs and you get some really, really good 596, 597 item that you would either wear or want to sell, nobody would have bought it. No, it would have been completely useless. Right. All of those items in the game would have been trashed. They would have never gotten used. It would have been just this massive item sink of stuff that's just not useful in the game. And so that just wouldn't have been good. So I think 590 to 600 is great. I think it was a really, really good change, man. Do you think they should have went even lower, or do you think 590 is like a good stopping point for that?
It's tough, dude. Because you start to, one of the things that I do like is that, again, you can just not, at that point you would have just had to wear all legendaries all the time, basically. The epic games, like the epic drops, like you said, really, because of how the gearing system works in the game, really become like unusable. You can equip a legendary right away as soon as you hit level 60, and yes, the expertise system is going to bring that effectiveness down of that item. But at that point, that's your best thing to do anyways, because you're splitting the difference. Yeah. At 500 expertise, it'd be better to do a 600 piece of gear, because you're getting the highest of the differences and kind of working your way up. So it's kind of one of those things that, it would have made everything obsolete. And when you're crafting, you don't get all legendaries. You get a lot of epics. And so then it kind of just makes it even feel that much worse when you get them. And now, at least, if you get a decent roll and it's better than what you have, you can at least upgrade that until you get something better. So I think the system's fine. I do think most people are going to be pushing to legendaries anyways, but at least now they have the option. Player choice is very important. I'm glad that now it's just on the player, not just it's just like this doesn't happen or you can't do this. It's basically now you can do this. It may not be the most optimal decision, but if you want to, you can.
Yeah. So you think 590 is fine then? You don't think they should bump it down?
I don't. I think any lower than that, and it's like, I don't know. Then it's like, well, how many Umbral Shards are you going to charge for people to do this? I don't know what that answer becomes.
Yeah, and I also think that the Umbral Shard system is meant to be primarily for in-game progression, right? Like you're not supposed to progress with the Umbral Shards before that point. You know what I mean? I think if you make it too early, you diminish the value of shards, you diminish the value of in-game, and then the progression kind of begins to be lacking there a little bit, because you could then that even diminishes the value of high-end crafters too, because right now crafting 590 to 600 is it makes that a lot more important, right? So if you're not a crafter who doesn't have your trophies, etc., you could still craft without trophies and roll a stellar 580 item and then just upgrade that all the way up to 625, which would not make any sense, right? Then trophies would become non-usable anymore. Trophies wouldn't be a thing anymore. Like, why would you need them? Nobody would want them. So I think 590 is where it would have to land for that purpose right there. I think maybe even 595 to 600 would have even maybe been a better choice in my opinion, because of the trophies, etc. But I think 590 is a fine place to land right there. I think that still keeps a lot of the in-game crafting and all of those things relevant. Any lower than that, I think they would have made a real big mistake because of all the situations I just mentioned. So I think 590 is good. I think it's good. I think that'll be good for the overall game, and I'm glad that they changed that instead of 600. 600 is very, very much limiting, and it wasn't a good. And this now is I think going to be much, much better.
Well, and one of the things I think that's kind of, I think it's worth talking about is the idea that, now drops are going to be much more prevalent in these mutations.
Yeah.
The drop rates are a lot more, insane. And so then you will be getting more loot just overall to look at and kind of see if it's worth upgrading or not. So I think most of the time, although, initially it may be good to upgrade some of these items to or past 600 or 600, but you're going to be getting so many drops eventually that I just think everybody will eventually land in Legendary. So I think, yes, it's a big change now, but over the course of like however long, like I don't think it'll make much of a difference, because people will just be like, no, dude, why are you upgrading that? There's literally like a better Legendary version on the auction house for the less money. So it's like because of the actual influx of items that are going to be coming in the economy, I don't think it's in the short term it's good, but in the long term I just don't find it being very significant overall. One of the other things too is, I think that's interesting is the name Legendaries, being able to get that third perk. This is something I didn't know how to feel about, honestly, because, at some extent, like, I have in my bank right now, I have a 597 Fury. I have a 597 Infamy. It's like I now technically when that patch drops, I got a legendary version of those weapons. And then I started to think, like, is this good? I don't know. Because it's like part of the fun of running Jen and Laz right now is like the idea that, dude, I could get that 600 Will of the Ancients drop. So it's like worth it for me to do that. And now it's like, well, I just, I'm sure I'm bound to eventually get a 590 or plus Will of Ancients, and then you get the, you just upgrade it and it's done. So I don't know, man. Well, how do you feel about the legendaries upgrading for their third perk?
Oh man, it is a tricky situation. So just to clarify for the listeners here, if you happen to not know, the way the system's going to work now is that if you craft a purple item or loot a purple item that's not named, right? Anything that is not a named item that is like 590 plus, you can upgrade it to 600 and all the way up to 625, and it will not receive a third perk, right? So it stays epic, it stays purple, whatever. It does not receive your third perk. If you get a named legendary, like one of the rings or like the Lazarus bow, for example, you get one of those out of Laz and it drops at 590 plus, you can upgrade that with Umbral Shards and get your third perk. So I just wanted to clarify that and get that out there. That's how it's going to work. So, and I think it has to do with like those weapons already had the named perk like associated with them in their drop tables. So now I don't think they have any way of going back and like reverting that change, right? So whenever they hit a 600 gear score, they just automatically get the third perk. And that's just kind of how it was programmed into the game from my understanding. Right. But that's from very, very limited understanding of how that stuff actually works. So all I know is it happens. And it looks like that's going to make it to live from everything we know right now. So to answer your question, though, I don't know how I feel about it, because you're right. Like, does that diminish the value of running the vanilla versions of the dungeon? And is anybody even going to want to run them anyway after mutators? You know what I mean? Like, you can still get the items from mutators that you would from the original dungeon. You get those plus the additional loot drops, or at least that's what it says whenever you open up the mutator, right? It says original, the original 5 drops or whatever plus the other ones on every stage of the mutator. So
yeah, it's a lot.
So
it's a lot of drops.
Yeah, it's a lot of drops. It's a lot of drops. So those items might become like almost obsolete anyway. But I have a hard time really believing like the Lasbo or what's the fire staff, Firebinder.
Firevine is the one that everybody,
not Firebinder. Firevine is the one. Yeah, the really good one. I have a hard time believing those are gonna become obsolete, right? Like they're gonna be really good. And I actually
they're
have
gonna
one
be.
sitting in
They're
my
almost
bank.
best in. I don't think you can get a better life staff than Will of the Ancients. So it's like,
right.
Then you're, and the same with. I mean, it's arguable, but dude, the Infamy is an amazing musket. The Lasbo is an amazing bow. So it's like you're automatically like those people that have access to those, are gonna get best in slot or very close to it, just from a pretty easy path. And maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's good for the game. I don't know. I just kind of thinking like in the current state of the game, it is very like rare to find a best in slot weapon, and it's kind of like this carrot in front of you that I some people don't like it. I like it. I like to grind. I like to have that hit is like, yo, look, this is like, this is an amazing drop, and these don't happen very often. It's kind of fun to feel that way. But again, maybe this is good for the game. Maybe we got to also remember the casual player base, and it's important for them to be able to perform and compete at a decent level too. And maybe this helps. I think overall, this will help them for sure. Kind of get in better gear and more viable gear for in game and for these mutations.
Yeah, I mean, basically all it does in the grand scheme of things is it just increases your rate at which that item drops, right? That's really what it does. It just increases it by quite a lot, actually. But you still, if you get a 589 of one of those, it's still the same situation. Like, so now instead of looking for that golden legendary item, you're just hoping to get a 590 plus of the named item that you're searching for in the dungeon. And you still may run it multiple times. Like, I've been trying to get the Primordial Edge for a long time, and I haven't been able to get it. I've never seen it drop once. I have not gotten that drop. So it's like, there's still situations like that where you're still going to want to run the dungeon a whole bunch of times to try to get that specific item, whether it's 590, 600, whatever. So I think in the grand scheme of things, I think after thinking about it for a really long time, I think it's probably going to be okay. And I think you hit the nail on the head right there with the casual players and the players who maybe they can't play enough. We've been kind of on this kick lately, or at least I have been, about how the gap just continues to grow between these people that play 18, 16 hours a day or whatever, and the people that can only play like 3-4 hours a night. And even playing 3-4 hours a night, I wouldn't consider a casual player, right? Like you're dedicated to the game at that point. But just because you can't spend as much time as somebody else because you have a job or whatever, and
you're
this
a
other person
core
may
player.
not.
Let's change the I like that.
You're
not hardcore.
Not a casual player.
You're not hardcore.
You are a core player.
You're a core
like
player. Hey, look at that, dude.
Term. Look at that.
We about to get rich. So we gotta trademark that before we post the podcast, dude.
Yeah, I like it. So a core player. I like that term. So if you're a core player, but not necessarily a casual player, you still very much have a desire to compete in the game. This will allow those people a more opportunity to do that. And so overall in the grand, I do think it's a really good change. And sometimes I think we even fall into the trap, Red, of getting caught up because we get to play the game a lot. We play it a whole lot. And so we have sometimes a little bit different mindset, or at least I find myself sometimes having that. I have to ground myself back into like, well, what is the vast majority of the player base? Because the vast majority of the player base is not fit what we do every day, right? So I think overall this change is very good for the health of the game moving forward, for sure. And I don't even know that it's something they meant to do or could have changed anyway. But I think it's actually good now. I think it'll be a good thing that it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that I do. I think it'll be, it'll kind of take a while to set in and see how it feels. But overall, I do think the level of difficulty or the gap in between, the extremely hardcore players and the casual players is too wide for New World to be successful in the long term. So I think any steps forward for that to happen is good. So I think overall this could be good as well. Bordy, let's see. That's about it, dude. Can you think of anything else that was, in this neighborhood. I think we're getting the patch either today or tomorrow or. It's tomorrow. It's got to be 125. I would think. Like, you think they're going to take the winter convergence away and not patch? I don't know. I can't imagine.
I have no idea. I would assume it'll happen on 125 or either. I would expect it to happen either Tuesday or Wednesday, 25th or 26th. I would think that it's coming very, very soon this week. For sure. So we are very close, man. I'm excited for mutations, Red. We still got to get our group together to run these bad boys. I think we're close to having a full group, but I am incredibly excited to check out the mutations and get in there and play some new content. It's going to be fun. I think both you and I plan to stream quite a lot for the mutations and try to get in there and hammer these bad boys out so we can get some good content up for you guys video wise and website wise, and have all the news and all the stuff going on for you guys over at newworldfans.com. So whenever that goes live, make sure to check over there. We will have all the information very soon after the patch goes live. But yeah, I mean, I hope it hits soon. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to play mutations. I'm excited to get me some legendary drops and push into some BIS gear, you know? I mean, I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it will be. I had the chance to do the level 10 on the PTR, and it is challenging. I think a lot of people enjoy it. I would like them. You know what's difficult too, and I guess we can talk about this at the end of the episode. They did do the whole like just move the dial thing on a lot of things, which is like you know, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I know that the mutations and the alterations like will make it more challenging, like the all the different like void, your Oblivion or Hellfire, all those things. The curses, those will be good. Those will make the experience more entertaining. And I hope that they continue to just expand upon the number of mutations that are available. But some of the things that they did to make things difficult, it seemed to be also just like, let's make this guy hit harder. Let's make this guy have more hit points. And as long as they do that and also add in more mutations and make it more different each time you run, like between between weeks of Genesis being the mutation, as long as that feels different enough each time for it to be a new experience, I think this system should work out really well. But I just the moving up of the knobs, making things difficult in that way. I think they mentioned it in the new dev video, which I don't know if we talked about that. We did, didn't we? We talked about that with Danny on, I think.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. But the new dev video, they did say like we don't want to make it difficult in that manner. That's not very creative. So at least they know like that their goal is to not do it that way. So hopefully in the future they just continue to work on that too.
Yeah, I hope so. So it seems like, what would you think if they added like new boss mechanics for some of the higher end dungeons or some of the higher end expeditions? Like if the boss mechanics just weren't the same.
Well, that's what typically like in ESO, like hard mode and everything like that, it seems to be the case. Just it's basically they just add a mechanic to the boss, right?
Yeah.
And so
like a one-shot mechanic or
So it's hard because I don't think the current bosses have the mutations on them, the other bosses. So they've kind of mentioned that they felt like they were already kind of mechanic heavy and they didn't want to add another mechanic. And I can respect that. But maybe going forward, as they bring up other dungeons to the mutation, because we all know like Amrine is pretty easy at this point. Maybe they'll consider as they bring up newer mutations or newer expeditions into the mutation system.
Yeah, they had mentioned in that dev video too that they were trying to figure out how to bring up Amrine in the depths and Starstone. So there must be, I don't know how that works, how the scaling works or how that works on their end, but it would be whatever they have to do to make those relevant still after you beat them once would be fantastic. Because as Danny mentioned, I think last week whenever we were talking, he said he'd only done Amrine once and that's it. He did it, he got out and he's never done it again. And it's like, well, that's like, why would you ever go back and do it again? It begs a great question. There's not any drops you're getting out of there. It's level 20. Like, why would you ever go back and do it unless you're helping a friend or something like that?
Yeah, that's
like,
why I've done it since then, but only to like help out a company member. Like they're stuck. They don't have a way to run the quest with them. So then I did it.
Right. So it would be nice to see them somehow integrate those into the mutation system. And I don't know how that's going to be done, but I feel like they're working on that. At least they kind of hinted at that they were working on that, so that would be nice. But yeah, I'm looking forward to them overall, man. Were you guys able to complete the level 10?
I had to go. We would have completed it because we got through the hardest part of Genesis. We got through the first boss, but then I had to get out. I think we were on about an hour. And,
so you were the reason that the group didn't make it.
I mean, yeah, essentially, but not because of skill, because I had to leave. But we would have made it, dude. We would have made it. It was fun. It was fun, dude. We had a lot of fun, but again, we really like. I guess when we hit the first boss and there wasn't a ton different to the fight, other than just everything was a lot more beefy. It kind of like was like I don't know. There were some mixed viewpoints or mixed feelings on how the boss felt difficulty wise. So
yeah, well, hopefully this is just the groundwork for mutations anyway, and I feel like that's kind of what a lot of this patch feels like to me. It feels like groundwork for future content is what this feels like to me, and I hope that's what it is, because I feel like the Umbral Shard system, we've talked about that before too, about that feeling like how good that could be if that's groundwork laid for future stuff that comes into the game. It seems like that system could be utilized for a very long time. Same with mutations. Seems like that system can be utilized for a very long time. And it's almost like this is just the groundwork being laid for these future things to come into the game. And it's like we just kind of have to be patient to wait for that stuff to actually come to fruition, which I think mutations will be fun. It'll tide us over for a little while. But I really think, and I really do hope that that's what the plan is. It's like this is future looking, forward thinking type of situation that they're adding these mechanics and these systems into the game now that are gonna last for a very long time. Well, kind of laying the groundwork.
It's a great system. Like and I think we say this about New World all the time. The base of the game is really, really good. And I think the mutation system, the base of the mutation system with this implementation of it is very, very good. And it's a great building block for future stuff for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, man. Well, let's hop over to the company of the week. All right. So this week, for our company of the week, we have the Dungeon Delvers Incorporated.
Yeah, man. Dungeon Delvers Inc. So it says, hello and thank you for showing interest in the Dungeon Delvers. We have acquired our territory and are now in alliance with 4 other companies of our faction. And that sounds like they are just doing work on their server right now. So it says they're drawing on well over 20 years of guild leadership from games like EverQuest, Star Wars Galaxies, WoW, and etc. Their code shares Zimmerus. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, buddy, but I have you on here. XOREMUS, Zimmerus, I think. And Bilias. Dude, I don't know. I'm butchering you guys' name, and I apologize. They're excited for the possibilities of New World, and they're deciding to bring together efforts and attention in creating organization to provide maximum level of in-game support, skill, fun, and most importantly, a lack of drama. That's what we're all looking for, isn't it, Red? A lack of drama. Just fun gameplay with a lack of drama. I like the way I like the way these guys think for sure. So it says they are doing pretty much everything in the game. They have the events listed here that you guys can go check it out. It says they're not a try-hard company, but they are working to gain territory and hold it. And then you can go read all about them over there at newworldfans.com. Dungeon Delvers Incorporated. We'll make sure to include links to all of their information below everywhere this podcast can be found. That will include their Discord. So if you're interested in the Dungeon Delvers, go check them out. They're an NA East company.
Yes, sir. And we thank you to all our Patreon for using our website, for supporting us. We appreciate you guys very much. And a special thank you to Dungeon Delvers this week. Guys, we will be back in your ears next week, of course, with some mutation news. I mean, me and you will have conquered mutation level 10. No doubt, 100%. We will be 625 and everything.
Easy.
So maybe. So tune in next week. Obviously, thanks again for listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you on another episode of New World to Go.